that she just wanted people to come up and ask for it. I told her that's hoarding and that she would barely give anybody anything to wipe their bodies with, so they defaulted to the youngest child's clothing. She said it's my fault for leaving clothes in the bathroom. I reminded her I was an 11-year-old girl who shared a room with 3 boys and had to change in the bathroom. On top of the fact that I did notice and I did immediately stop, but people kept taking my clothes into the bathroom from the bedroom and using them as rags. That the only time I got clothes back, after only having an outfit for almost a year straight, 11 to 12, was when my sister passed away and I inherited all her clothing the month after I turned 13. My mother is adamant that it is my fault. I am the reason why I had no clothes. I had nowhere to hide them. I had nowhere to lock them up. I had a diary at the time too that they tore open within a week and started making fun of me excessively for everything I wrote down. I told her she's stupid if she thinks it's my fault an 11-year-old girl went without clothing because she left it in the bathroom. No, they wouldn't ever even use my clothes as toilet paper if she didn't hoard it or if she had been generous with the amount she'd given. I know for a fact she wasn't because I still went out on my way to steal from school instead of asking her because she did not. Now she's bought hurt with me saying toxic things like I'm just a bad mom and she's better off dead. I feel like I can't win. I want to be honest with her about the pain she caused and just get a genuine apology, but I don't think that will ever happen. You, my dear, are not the a-hole. However, you are correct. It probably will not ever happen, and as sad as it is, you're best off not wasting your energy and emotional well-being trying to get an apology from her. She is clearly a manipulative narcissist, and it'll be like Jason. I don't know. It'll be like Jason water in a desert. You're not gonna get that apology, and if you do, it won't be sincere. She is a very abusive, very toxic, and vile person, especially in terms of a mother. And I understand needing to use something to wipe. However, all the children going to wiping with the younger sister's clothes is terrible, so they are also shitty, even though they were children. You should know better. Go and wipe with your mother's clothes since she's not handing out toilet paper. I'm really sorry that DOP went through that. That is horrible, and it's a terrible way to grow up. And I really hope that you stick up for yourself and you go completely no contact with your mum, because it's not good to have her around, to be honest. She's not going to be any good for your self-worth or your mental health. Okay, this next story is by entire dash at 9584. Am I the a-hole for still resenting my husband for what he did to me during my pregnancy and postpartum? Okay, this is probably gonna be juicy, and I can already tell I'm probably gonna hate the husband. Okay, but let's find out. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. My husband, 38 male, and I, 38 female, have been together for 15 years. Married for 5 years. We have our ups and downs, but it has been rocky for the past year. accusations for severe bleeding. Throughout my pregnancy, my husband and I would get in fights. Sometimes he would start them, sometimes I would. My hormones were all over the place and I was so uncomfortable. I gained about 50 pounds of just fluid and was incredibly swollen. So when we would fight, I would end up screaming pretty quickly. Instead of trying to de-escalate and knowing all the complications I was going through, my husband would start screaming back at me and escalate the situation. After the first few fights, I sat him down and told him that I needed him to de-escalate these situations because the extra stress from him screaming at me could hurt me and the baby, especially given all the medical issues I was having. He needed to be the calm presence for his very pregnant and hormonal wife. He would say he understands, but then go right back to yelling. Flash forward to 30 weeks pregnant. We have another screaming match before I leave for work. I ended up texting him later and saying if anything happens to me and the baby, it's on him for continuing to escalate fights with his hormonal wife with a high-risk pregnancy. Later on that day, I had a placental abruption. Luckily, I work in a hospital and got to the ED in time. I was on the phone with my husband and had just enough time to tell him that I was hemorrhaging and I was going into the OR now. My husband headed to the hospital from work. I almost died, though everything was fuzzy at the time because I was in and out of consciousness. I have since gotten flashbacks to things that were said by doctors and staff during my emergency C-section, and it is scary to know how close I came to dying. I'm in the medical field, so I knew all the terminology they were using to describe the situation. When my husband got to the hospital and saw me, his initial reaction was being annoyed that I didn't give him more information on the phone. I tried to explain that I was basically crashing at the time I called, but he was still cold. He only started being kind when I started to cry and the nurse walked in. He was pretty good in the initial postpartum period, bringing food to the hospital, helping around the house. Our son was in the ICU for 6 weeks, and we would switch off spending time with him and time with our toddler at home. Things were okay until my baby blues didn't go away. I was starting to get really depressed. I didn't want to hurt myself, but I kept thinking that he wouldn't really care if I just died. That I wouldn't really care if I just died. Sorry guys. I never asked for help, but this postpartum depression was so bad that I finally went to my husband and asked for help. I told him how I was feeling, and I didn't know what to do. His response was to tell me, I don't know how this is different from you or normally, and then proceeded to give me a list of things he didn't like about me. I was so depressed that I didn't even get mad at the time. I just realized I was on my own and found different resources to actually help. I felt back to normal about 4 weeks later. don't trust that he will be there for me in the future, since he wasn't there for me during or after the pregnancy. In fact, he made life harder. Later that night, I got a quick "I'm sorry" before he walked to bed. The next day he assumed since he apologized I would change my mind about the divorce and forgive him. I told him that a late night apology doesn't really mean much, after months of him being so mean to me by ignoring, insulting or degrading me, because I kept begging him to take accountability for what he did so we could move on. He is now angry at me because he apologized just like I asked, and I still want a divorce. So am I the a-hole for resenting my husband and wanting a divorce despite his apology? That is... Well, I was right when I said I knew I was gonna hate the husband. I despise the guy. Not the a-hole. Please file for the divorce. Take the kids. Make sure he pays child support. He is a god-awful human being. He is despicable. He is evil. He is narcissistic, self-absorbed. And I would have a few choice words to give him if I ever saw him, to be honest. Yeah, he's all in all just a terrible person, and you're never gonna get an apology because he's not sorry. He doesn't care. And yeah, it really sucks. I have been in a relationship like that where I've begged and begged for an apology and just some recognition, and it's a futile thing because that person does not care about you. They do not love you. They could not care if you went missing in the night. And those types of toxic relationships really break you down. You are much better without him. It will be hard at first, but you will bounce back better than ever, I promise. This one seems like a bit more of a silly one, so let's go a little bit lighthearted after the last one. This one is by SeaFlounder8437. It is titled, "I made my kid's friend unclog the toilet on their own after the third time." What is that kid eating? They need a poop knife. If you get the reference, if you don't, I just sound weird. Okay, so for context, my kid's friend refuses to eat vegetables or anything but carbs when they come over, and it low-key pisses me off. They always leave the vegetables on their plate, and I can't ever say anything because #nice mom, but I hate throwing away good food. I'm a single mom and a chef, so I know it's not my cooking. But this friend, around 10 years old, has clogged the toilet at our place, not once, not twice, but 3 times. The first couple of times I gagged and almost vomited. This last time, the third time, it was directly after a meal where she refused to eat vegetables and ended up throwing them all away. This was a sleepover. Then I'm laying in bed about to drift off a couple hours later, and my kid comes into my bedroom and tells me the toilet is clogged again and I need to come and unclog it. I was so tired, so I refused. I told my kid that her friend was on her own if she had any questions to refer to YouTube. My kid said, "Mum, she can't do it. She's never touched a plunger before." I tiredly but sternly said, "Well, she's gonna have to learn to touch a plunger since she never wants to touch a vegetable." I think her friend heard it. I went to sleep again, tired single mum, and the issue had resolved itself by the time I woke up. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. But now my kids think I'm an a-hole, and apparently so does their friend. Am I? Update. Conversation with the kid was, since you were kids clogging other people's toilets. And immediately leaving the scene of the crime, it sounds like I'm crying, laughing, but mostly crying. Okay. Not the a-hole. Everything turned out great, both children learned to take responsibility and how to declog a toilet, which is, I guess it's an important thing to know, especially if you are a kid that keeps clogging the toilet. Someone in the comments said, maybe I was just a shy kid, but there's no way in hell I'd spend the night at someone's house after clogging the toilet publicly for the first time. Yeah, pretty much me, except I would never go in the first place. I would only go and tinkle. And I'm still like that. I won't go number 2 in other people's houses or in public bathrooms or anything like that. Yeah, not the angle. It's a funny one though. Okay. This is probably gonna be the last one for tonight. I have a killer headache. I've already taken two doses of like paracetamol and ibuprofen, and it is just not budging. It is one of those nasty headaches. Yeah, this one is by Riles says real essays. I don't know how that is supposed to be pronounced. It will be in the description. It is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help my mom and her fiance with his disabled child? I, 20 male, moved out of my mum's 42 female house a couple of years ago when I went to college. Until 10 months ago, I had my own room there, but her fiance, 45 male, and his 2 kids, 6 male and 4 female, moved in with her. The 4-year-old has a host of disabilities. I know they have a seizure disorder and a condition called osteogenesis imperfecta, but I believe there's another one involving paralysis or spasms of the stomach/esophagus. My mum took classes for over 2 months before her fiance moved in, so she would know how to take care of his daughter. That's lovely. Her fiance's ex is totally out of the picture, so Mum decided she would need to step up completely, which I get. Mum sounds amazing to start off with. I have been back twice since Mum's fiance moved in with his kids. The first time was at Christmas, and I stayed with my grandparents because my old room went to the 4-year-old and there was no spare room for me. My mum was disappointed, but I pointed out it would stop me getting in the way of their routine too. The second time was late June/early July. I was home for a few weeks and again stayed with my grandparents. Mum offered to buy a pull-out bed for me, but I said I was good with my grandparents. When I was home and whenever I went to my mum's, I was asked if I had looked into taking the same classes Mum had, or if I'd like them to set me up with them. I said no and asked why I'd need to take them. Mum said she had hoped I would want to help them. She said it would mean I could step in if an emergency came up, and I told Mum she'd be better to find someone professional for that because I was not taking on that responsibility. Her fiance asked if I'm just never going to stay at the house, and I said yes. I told them I would have zero privacy if I slept there and it wouldn't benefit any of us. I pointed out how they'd be so busy anyway that I wouldn't have time with my mum that much, and I'd get just as much staying somewhere else and planning ahead of time to visit when she's not super busy. Her fiance then want to spend time with her, but babysitting her future stepkids was not in my plans, and especially not one so medically complex and in need of specific care. She was upset but let it go. Her fiancé is holding a grudge about it. He brought it up to my grandparents when Christmas was brought up. They said they got the feeling he was annoyed. They gave me a place to stay during my visits because it gives me an excuse not to get closer to his kids and therefore be more willing to learn how to take care of his daughter. You are not the a-hole. It is completely understandable, for starters, to want to be minimally involved with step-parents and their side of the family, especially if you are older. So if you're an older kid, that's, I'd say even like mid-teens to an adult, you're already kind of grown, you've moved out. I think it's already perfectly reasonable to not want to be that involved. Like, not everyone is gonna want to have a completely blended family or that type of relationship with like step family and stuff, which is fine. It's not for everyone. Some people just don't want that connection with the new people, and that is okay as long as they're not being mean about it. That's fine. They don't have to. Enforcing it is only gonna make them hate them. But the fact that, like they said, it's such a complex situation medically makes it even more understandable that they don't want to get involved, because it's scary. It is scary. It's exhausting, and you have to be really vigilant. I work with kids with disabilities and with medical problems, and it is a lot to put on your shoulders, even if nothing ends up going wrong. It's very draining, constantly being so alert to the possibilities of what could happen and what could cause it and how to solve it, etc. It's a big ask. It's a lot to put on somebody's shoulders, especially if they're not doing it for any gain. I wouldn't say for any gain, but like, for me, it's my job. I get paid to do that. But for them, they're trying to have a relaxing time visiting their mum. They don't want that type of stress in what's supposed to be, a good time for them. And I understand that.